another podcast of Decoding Chemical Engineering. We are here today with Yasir Rana, who is a chemical engineer and a self-made consultant who is currently working from Pakistan. Thank you so very much, Yasir, for being with us here today. We are very happy to have you with us. But before we begin, can you kindly tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
First of all, I would like to thank you for inviting me for an interview. It's been a great honor for me to give you an interview as I have read about your chemical engineering life, and it seems very interesting to me. So thank you so much for inviting me. If you talk about myself, so my name is Yasir Rana, and currently I am running my own company in Pakistan. And if we talk about my degree, I have done BSc Chemical Engineering from COMSATs Lahore in 2017, and after that I did my MSc in Polymers and Process Engineering from UET in 2022. So this is it, and currently I'm working as a director technical in my own company that basically gives engineering solutions to multiple sectors industries in Pakistan.
Perfect, great. Thank you so very much, Yasir. And I might add, you have great deal of experience behind you, both in the educational area and the industrial, and then in being the self-entrepreneur that you are right now. So we are very
Yeah.
happy to have you with us, and let's dig in and let's get more information out of you then. I would like to ask you what brought you to the world of chemical engineering.
So it's a good question. Actually, I was not into chemical engineering as I always want to do something related to aircrafts. Like I was more interested into, you can say, the aerospace engineering, or then I decided to go for a mechanical engineering. But unfortunately, I couldn't get into those universities as in Pakistan only two universities are offering aerospace engineering, and I didn't get it. So then the next choice was chemical engineering. So as I researched about the degree and I met one of my friend's brother who was also a chemical engineer, and he advised me that to go for chemical engineering as it's a very good and vast degree. So if
Mm-hmm.
you'll do it, you can easily find a good job. Plus, it's also very interesting if you are interested to work in any industry, and if like, and even he advised me that after doing a chemical engineering, you can also work in any aircraft
Mm-hmm.
manufacturing company too, as there
Mm-hmm.
are some things that are related to, you can say that if the aerospace
Mm-hmm.
with this chemical engineering. So he said that it could be possible that you could find up getting a job in any aerospace engineering firm.
Mm-hmm.
So then I
Mm-hmm.
just decided, I researched it myself. Then I just read all about the contents, you can say the courses which I'll be studying in the next 4 years. So the courses were very interesting. So then I
Mm-hmm.
decided just to start the chemical engineering.
Mm-hmm. But that's interesting. So, well, it's great that you ended up in chemical engineering. Chemical
Thank
engineering is
you.
also, I hope it's equally interesting to you now as aerospace engineering
Yeah,
and your past. Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. It is because if we talk about everything, like
Mm-hmm.
you can name it, and I will tell you that a little bit of chemical engineering is involved in it. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a very vast field, no doubt. It's a very
Mm-hmm.
very vast field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is, truly is. And but you said that you went to COMSAT and then you later on did your master's from UET. I mean, both of the universities, they are one of the best institutions of Pakistan, and one of the best renowned universities in the
Yes,
country.
yes.
But if I was to talk to you about COMSAT, quite a difficult university to get in, and one of the finest chemical engineering programs in the country. So how was your undergrad in terms of the workload and your general experience? How was it?
In the start, as we all know that when we just go from college to university, we don't have any idea about university life, like how the system works. As in college, we don't have like that much of assignments and quizzes and you can say the many projects. But when we get into university, then we have to you can say we have a lot of workload. But especially
Mm-hmm.
if we talk about my first year, so we don't have that much workload as the subjects were more related to, like you can say, the humanities. Like we were studying the English, the Pakistan studies, and and
Mm-hmm.
Islamic studies and something related to that, which is not more related to chemical engineering. But we are also, you can say, studying the chemical engineering, just basic, you can say the basic courses of chemical engineering, which just
Mm-hmm.
involve like you can say the principles, chemical process principles, and some
Mm-hmm.
courses like that. But if I talk about my, you can say the third year, or but after third year, there are a lot of you can say lab works, like we have to uh, work in a lab for like 3 hours in a day, like in one lab, and sometimes we have 2 to 3 labs continuously in a
Mm-hmm.
day. So that is a, you can say, little bit of workload. And
Mm-hmm.
also, if we talk about my last year, then in last year we have to work on a, this the thesis thing. So it also require a lot of work, and then we have to do a lot of work. It also
Mm-hmm.
require a lot of time because, as we all know, that we have to pass it, otherwise we are not going to get a degree and we can waste our 4 years which we have studied. So
Okay.
overall, the workload is, you can say, the manageable,
Mm-hmm.
not that much low. So
Mm-hmm.
if you are something, if you try to, you can say, if you are a little bit good in studies, then you can easily cope up with the workload.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay. But but how long is a bachelor in COMSAT?
it's of 4 years.
It's 4 years. But so if I was to ask
Yeah,
you, if you could briefly describe how is those 4 years divided up? Like the first year, like you said, that's basic chemical engineering, and then you start to get more and more specialized, and then you have labs. If you would briefly
yeah.
describe how is it like set up in the 4 year program?
Uh, Okay. So if we talk about the 4 year program, the first year is a very basic program. Like we just studied the engineering drawings, the
Mm-hmm.
physics, the English, and the subjects that are not that much related to chemical engineering, and some little
Mm-hmm.
bit subjects of chemical engineering. Then in the if we talk about my second year, then we just start studying. Then we don't have any humanities like course. We just study all the chemical engineering things. Then in the third year, we have, like, if we have studied the thermodynamics 1 in second year, then we will study the thermodynamics 2 in our third year. And as you know, that there are many courses in chemical engineering that are directly related with, you can say, the year 1 or year 2. So if
Mm-hmm.
we are already studied this, then we can easily, you can say, study that in third year. And
Mm-hmm.
also in third year we have a lot of lab work. And if we talk about my fourth year, then again we just study the courses like health safety,
Mm-hmm.
environmental safety, and then we also
Mm-hmm.
have another, like, our optional subjects, like either you want to go in oil and gas, or you
Mm-hmm.
want to go in a polymers, or you want to go in a biochemical engineering, whatever
Mm-hmm.
they are offering at that time. And
Mm-hmm.
also we do study the plant design. That is also a very big course. Like we have to, if we talk about the thesis thing, then we have to design a project in a group of 4 people, and then we have to defend it in front of our teachers, then in front of external professor. It can
Mm-hmm.
be from any university, and from any, you can say, chemical engineering university. And then
Mm-hmm.
they took our interview with respect to that project, that what we have done, and then we can have that degree of chemical engineering.
Mm-hmm. Okay, amazing. That's one hell of a ride. If getting from going from very basic to getting to becoming something very specialized towards the end. And
Exactly, exactly.
a lot of students they actually lose heart in the very beginning because they many students assume I myself assumed when I started already from day one you're going to be doing engineering calculations, but it's actually a very slow process of molding you towards the learning. You start off with very basic physics, math, and then you move on to something more
Exactly,
complicated and then into chemical engineering. So that is something that
exactly.
students who are planning to apply should really understand that it is a long game and not just a 1 week of directly jumping into engineering calculations. So thank you for
Exactly,
sharing that.
exactly.
Thank you.
You're
But
welcome.
you mentioned labs. Uh, Now, for the people that are listening, could you define those labs? Are those chemistry labs or are they chemical engineering labs? And what exactly is the
No,
difference
no,
between the two?
not okay. No, not that. Like in chemistry lab, we do just, like, as we have one course that is mass transfer. Like
Mm-hmm.
in mass transfer, we have to, they have like small scale pilot plants in our laboratory. So
Mm-hmm.
we are like the distillation column, the leaching process, the solvent extraction, and that column. Then we have another lab that is of heat transfer. Then we also study all that processes with respect to, we can say, the pilot plants. Then
Mm-hmm.
also we have one subject that is simultaneous heat and mass transfer.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have one and lab for fuel and combustions, in which we study
Mm-hmm.
the properties of different fuels like diesel, the gasoline, the kerosene. We just do the different, like, the experiments to measure their flame point, the
Mm-hmm.
combustion point, every point. So
Mm-hmm.
these are, then we also had a lab of this process principles, in which we have process control, sorry, in which we have to see that how loops work in an industry, like how
Mm-hmm.
DCC systems work, like if we
Mm-hmm.
are running an automated plant, then how
Mm-hmm.
to see the values, how to read the data. Then also
Mm-hmm.
we had a lab for thermodynamics. So it has a multiple
Mm-hmm.
lab work, but not that related to chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
We had one
Exactly.
lab in
Mm-hmm.
chemistry, but only in our first year, as we
Mm-hmm.
had organic and inorganic chemistry in our
Mm-hmm.
first year of chemical engineering. And after that, we didn't have to study the chemistry. It's a little bit involved, but not that much in depth. Like if I am doing a BSc honors in chemistry, it's a totally two different fields.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing such great examples about chemical engineering labs, because it really helps people put a perspective on what to expect when you're going into a chemical engineering degree. So thank you. Uh, towards your degree, did you specialize towards a specific topic?
Yes, in my last year, as we all know that they're just like all of my friends, as everyone is very interested to go in oil and gas, and everyone think that oil is gas is one of the most, you can say, that
Mm-hmm.
if you want to get rich in few days, then always go for oil and gas. So as with all of my friends, we decided to opt for oil and gas, as at my time they were offering polymers, they were
Mm-hmm.
offering biochemical engineering, then they were also offering this oil and gas. So we
Mm-hmm.
decided to just to opt for oil and gas. And if I remember, everyone in my class opted for oil and gas, and they don't have that much seats. Like they also said that some students should also go in polymers and biochemical engineering, as if everyone is doing oil and gas, then who will cover the other optional
Mm-hmm.
subjects? So then
Exactly.
then my university, like some motivated the people, the importance of polymers, and then the importance of biochemical engineering, and then some students decided to go in that, but I
Mm-hmm.
ended up going up in oil and gas.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you were one of the lucky ones that did get a chance to go into oil and gas.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I guess that's the dream of every chemical engineer to get into the oil and
Exactly,
gas industry. That's uh,
exactly.
but then if I was to ask, because you did your bachelor's and then you specialized in the oil and gas sector, and then you continue to do your master program later on. And if I remember correctly, you said that you did your master's in polymer and process engineering,
Exactly,
correct?
exactly, yes.
Hmm. But then let's slightly talk more about your master program as well, because when you did your master program, did you get any job experience before applying for the master's, or did you directly go from bachelor to master's?
Yeah. So after when I got my degree of bachelor's, I applied for multiple jobs, and
Mm-hmm.
when I don't have a job, I started internship in one of a paint industry in Pakistan. And then
Mm-hmm.
I was doing the internship, and I got one opportunity from a firm in Pakistan that works in the designing of water and wastewater treatment plants.
Mm-hmm.
So I just decided to go in that field, like as it's also related to chemical engineering.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing a job, and then I was doing it like for after 1 year, I decided to switch the job. So I
Mm-hmm.
decided like, why not to start a master's. So I applied in UET in three programs, and I got my admission in the metallurgy and in the polymers and process engineering. So
Mm-hmm.
I decided. I also applied in environmental, as my degree, you can say, as
Mm-hmm.
my experience is more related to that environmental. But
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, I couldn't get into the environmental. But then I have to choose between the metallurgy and the polymers and process engineering. So
Mm-hmm.
then I decided to, I read about both programs. I researched a little bit about that what I will going to study, and then after, you can say, after examining, I decided to go with this polymers and process engineering. As
Mm-hmm.
in polymers, we have a lot of plastics, and plastics is also related to the environment. And then we also study the membrane materials which we use in
Mm-hmm.
water and wastewater treatment plant. So then
Mm-hmm.
this was the point that then which forced me to opt for
Mm-hmm.
polymers and process engineering, and then I got the admission there.
Mm-hmm. Amazing, but interesting choice that you chose to continue with that path after doing your bachelor's in chemical engineering. But because
Yeah.
now because you said that you were doing your internship and you were doing a job before applying for the master's. And a master's
Mhm.
degree is a very specialized degree. Now you're talking
Exactly.
about plastics and environmental, and so it tends to be very focused, laser focused on different topics. Did you feel at any point that your experience from the industry before going for the master's actually helped you adapt to the topics and give you a bigger picture perspective?
Yes, exactly. It is very helpful that if I talk about myself, there were some students in my class that simply just did the bachelor's and then they came to this master program. And if
Mm-hmm.
I talk about myself or some of the other students who worked or who are working, who were working in the industry at that time, were well aware of that thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
if they are showing us anything on a, you can say, on giving us any presentation or something like that, then we can easily understand, you can say, in more depth that what they're talking about. It as you know that all the equipments are same whichever the whichever the industry is, either if it's a oil and gas, a fertilizer, a paint industry, the equipment are same in all over the world. So
Mm-hmm.
it could be very helpful if you had some little experience in an
Mm-hmm.
industry. It could help you to, you can say, to adopt the master's program more easily. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, fully agreed. Thank you for that. Then if I was to ask you, because like I said myself earlier, that a master program is a very specialized field, and normally a master program tends to be a very how do you say it, a research based. It tends to be like a research
Exactly.
based program. But now you did your undergrad from Pakistan as well, from COMSATs, and then you did your master's from UET. Did you feel that there was a sort of a difference being a master's student to being like a bachelor student?
Yeah, exactly, for sure. Like if master's degree could help you to differentiate between the bachelor's and the master's student. Like let's suppose if there is a particular job of with respect to my area and they have two students, one is just simple bachelor's and the another one is master's, then obviously they are going to prefer with the student with the master's degree, as
Mm-hmm.
obviously you will have a more you can say that more detail and a more grip of that subjects in
Mm-hmm.
practically too and in the field too. So masters really help you in getting a
Mm-hmm.
job, and sometimes if you are interested to go for higher studies, like if you want
Mm-hmm.
to opt for PhD, then also it could help you to if you have a master's.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it's exactly, it's you can say that if after doing masters, you will be a little higher than the other graduates who
Mm-hmm.
has only bachelors. Yeah.
Of course. Okay, perfect. But then, I'm going to ask you an interesting question. They're already there because a lot of students, many times it happens that if you are a master student, you of course are a master graduate, you would of course expect to be given a higher starting salary compared to a bachelor graduate. And that's of course, since you have worked more than the bachelor student, a lot of students
That
are reluctant to go for master because they're afraid that it would limit the job positions they can go for because the companies they have to get that balance between paying people off and then getting the work done. Do you feel that is a valid concern for students to not go for masters, thinking that it would limit their job opportunities right after?
no. That I think that's not a good concept. Like if we talk about the job profile, then
Mm-hmm.
if you have done chemical engineering, it means that you can work in any type of field that is related to chemical engineering. Either if you have a master's in any other XYZ field,
Mm-hmm.
but if you have a master's, then you will be more, you can say, if for the particular job you will be more
Mm-hmm.
qualified for that post. But
Mm-hmm.
that's not a valid point, that if students think that after doing, let's suppose if I talk about myself, that after doing a master's in polymers, then I can only work in
Mm-hmm.
polymers in all over my life. No,
Mm-hmm.
because you can work in any field that is
Mm-hmm.
related to chemical engineering. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not a bad deal if you do a master's at it. I think it helps you to enhance your profile.
Mm-hmm. Okay, amazing. Thank you. And then just one last question about the master program. That would be that a, a lot of students, when they do their bachelor's in chemical engineering is a very broad degree. I hope you agree. It covers a wide range of
Exactly.
topics. When you're
Exactly.
going, right, but when you're going for a master program, now, like I said earlier, that master program, they are a very specialized program. Like you did your master's in polymers and process engineering, and it, and then when it says a specific title on your master's degree, your employer or the next person agree would assume that you're an expert in that area. How would you suggest for the graduates to choose what program they should pursue for a master's after their bachelor's?
Like it's an interesting question. As if we talk about the choosing the program, like the first thing is what you want to do. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, like what interests you. What if you are interested in environment, then you should do some program. If you are interested in some occupational health safety, or if you are interested in exam core chemical
Mm-hmm.
engineering, then some students also do masters in pure chemical engineering. If you are interested in metallurgy or in polymers, and
Mm-hmm.
some students also go in petroleum engineering after BSc in chemical engineering. So
Mm-hmm.
it depends on you what you want to do, and sometimes if some students also doing job in that particular field, so that job make give them
Mm-hmm.
interest, and then they decide to choose or to study more in that particular subject, and then they decided to do masters. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that it is very important for the students that what exactly they are interested in, and if
Mm-hmm.
they know about their interest, then they could easily manage. And also, I remember some of my class fellows who were with me in my bachelor's also did masters in some other fields, like some of them in MBAs, some of their
Mm-hmm.
uh, masters in business administration, then some in project management. So it depends on us that what we are interested and what we want to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay, amazing. So so people should really pursue their interest and passion when they're choosing the master program, right? Perfect. Thank
Exactly,
you.
exactly.
Uh,
Thank
then,
you.
and you'll be aware that a lot of students from Pakistan, when they do their bachelor's degrees, they try to pursue a master's from abroad. Uh, the US, Canada. Many people apply for European universities. And that's a very common thing that people try to pursue. But you chose
Mhm.
to pursue a master's from Pakistan, from your home country. Was there a specific reason you did that?
The first thing is that as I was doing a job here, and secondly, the program is very suitable for me. Like I can easily manage it with my job and staying
Mm-hmm.
at my home. So that was the major reason that I decided to do it here. And also, I just got the admission, so I thought that if I got admission, I should start it, as it's not going to harm me. It's not going to affect my job, and it's not going to affect my other, you can say, the other things.
Mm-hmm.
So I just did it. And then secondly, if we talk about other students, then the, sometimes they just want to explore, you can say, the new things
Mm-hmm.
and the new cultures, and they are sometimes they are not uh, getting satisfied with their
Mm-hmm.
job description or with, so that's why they just try to go in any other country, and then they
Mm-hmm.
just do the masters from any other European or any American or
Mm-hmm.
Canadian company university. So that's it.
Okay, amazing. But of course, at the end of the day, it is not your degree or the university that you went to. It's actually your own skill set that matters. So regardless if someone
Exactly.
went to Oxford or someone went to a university in some other place, it all comes down to you yourself and how much you're willing to work on a specific area, right? So great, perfect. Thank you. So during your bachelor's and master's, did you have any internship?
Yeah, I have a lot of internships.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was studying, I had uh, three internships during my 4 year program. Like
Mm-hmm.
one I did in my third year, and the another two in my fourth year. And
Mm-hmm.
after that, also, and after graduating from my bachelor's program, I again did one internship. As you know,
Mm-hmm.
that internships are very easy to get. you can
Mhm.
easily get the internship as they don't have to pay you, they don't have to give you the other
Mhm.
facilities. So even the industries prefer to hire interns, as
Mhm.
interns also help them in their
Mhm.
workload and also help them to give them new ideas. So that's why
Mhm.
I got, like, I had 4 internships during this time.
Amazing.
Yeah,
That's quite a lot of internships, aren't there? Normally, people don't get that many internships during their bachelor, correct?
exactly,
hmm So
exactly.
that's amazing. You were
Yeah,
quite active in that area, so that's pretty impressive. Uh,
yeah,
but now you said that it's very easy to get these internships, and that contradicts what I've heard from many other students. Many students complain that it's difficult to get hold of these internships. So could you share a few tips on how you actually got through to these internships and how you ended up getting them? Did you use any specific platforms like LinkedIn or websites or so?
yeah. So if I got only one internship with one of my reference, otherwise
Mm-hmm.
all the 3 internships were just as I applied, and
Mm-hmm.
the many industries in Pakistan have their internship programs. You can say the internship drives, and sometimes they also visit universities to hire the
Mm-hmm.
interns, like
Mm-hmm.
3 to 4 interns from each. You can say the section or each the batch, like from
Mm-hmm.
electrical, from the chemical. So
Mm-hmm.
if I remember about my time, I just you can say visited multiple websites,
Mm-hmm.
as I did one of my internship in one of the very major fertilizer industry in Pakistan. So
Mm-hmm.
they always open their internship drive from 1st February to 28th or 29th February, whatever the year is. So I
Mm-hmm.
applied it, and then, like, I was not expecting that they would call me, but luckily you can say after 4 months I got email from their HR that we have selected you for internship, and if you are interested, then submit the following documents and
Mm-hmm.
also report it to the plant on that particular date. So
Mm-hmm.
I was not expecting that they will call me, but they did. And if I talk about then one I did in the oil and gas, that is a government related government organization. So
Mm-hmm.
in that organization, one of my uncle was working. So I talked to him that I am very interested to work here, and then he said, okay, send me your CV. I will try to give you a
Mm-hmm.
4 week or 6 week
Mm-hmm.
internship. So I got an internship of 6 weeks there, but only
Mm-hmm.
that internship was of reference, and the other one on I applied. Then also, in if we talk about the paint industry, it was also a very big paint industry. So
Mm-hmm.
I applied it, and then again they called me, and then they said that we have hired you, and in total we have 4 students who all were
Mm-hmm.
graduates and who were doing internship in that paint industry. If we talk about the platform, then
Mm-hmm.
there are many websites who offer the internships. Then if we talk about big major industries in Pakistan, like the
Mm-hmm.
petroleum, the fertilizer, and then all the industries have their internship drives every
Mm-hmm.
year from you can say from uh, June to September. So
Mm-hmm.
if you want to, if any students want to go for an internship, they can start searching it from February. They can,
Mm-hmm.
so they will call them in the summer vacations when we have, like in June or July. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, amazing. But then, like these trials that you mentioned, for example, let's say I have a few recruiters coming to my university. What would you
Mhm.
suggest to the students what they should do beforehand, before they go and talk to these people? Should they read up to the company, prepare their CVs, cover letters? Any tips and tricks that you can share?
Yeah, it's very important. The first thing is that if they don't met you as a person, then
Mm-hmm.
only your resume or your cover letter can portray your image towards them.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have mentioned a lot of things, not the useless thing, the things that would help you, like to
Mm-hmm.
enhance your
Mm-hmm.
profile. So it's a good approach to design a very good CV. Like
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned all the things which you have studied in your bachelor's program, then also
Mm-hmm.
your other skills. Like it's not only necessary that if you are a good chemical engineer, then you would
Mm-hmm.
be able to find a internship.
Mm-hmm.
That there are also many other skills, like the communication skills, your personality, your presentation skills, that could also
Mm-hmm.
help you to give you an internship. So I think that it should be more presentable, and then
Mm-hmm.
as they all also know that we are just a student, so we don't have that much of industrial exposure. So they
Mm-hmm.
don't take interview like that in that way. They just simply ask us question with respect to our what we have studied in our engineering, and
Mm-hmm.
also with respect to our major courses, not that like the XYZ subjects. Yeah,
Okay. Mhm. So you have to be a, like, you don't have to be an expert, but you need to know your craft when you're going to and talking to these people, and be well prepared and be but just be yourself, I guess, right? When you go and talk to
yeah,
these
exactly,
people. Perfect.
exactly.
But then, mhm. But then as an intern, if I was to ask, because now you have done multiple internships, so you have a really wide experience in that area. What are
Mhm.
the most common tasks and responsibilities that you were assigned in your internships as a chemical engineer?
Like if I talk about my internship, then the
Mm-hmm.
first thing is then they just give you their plant manuals,
Mm-hmm.
like how they are operating the plant, the major equipment, and then I think after 2 3 days when you have studied that material, then they will take you to the plant for a plant visit, and
Mm-hmm.
then I remember that wherever I go, they always ask me to do the line tracing of the plant, as it's the very first and it's a very difficult task for interns, as they don't know
Mm-hmm.
that where that if they have multiple pipelines, then it is a very difficult task to you can say to identify each line that it's coming from where and it's going where. So and I think it will take 2 to 3 days that interns are just sitting and looking at the plant all over, and
Mm-hmm.
just trying to, as everyone wants that his line
Mm-hmm.
tracing should be up to the mark, and the as supervisor or the engineer should be happy
Mm-hmm.
with him. So these were the major two things, and then the third thing that if we have a multiple sections in plant, then they also like you can you can work in the different department in 3 to 4 days and in different department. So
Mm-hmm.
if you have all the knowledge that what they are doing, and I think that it is very helpful for you that you
Mm-hmm.
can easily understand the company, the profile, their structure, that how
Mm-hmm.
they work and what are the major products and etc. That's it. Yeah.
Amazing, and it really gives you like a very practical experience in chemical engineering, being able to see that how it's being applied in the industry as well, I guess, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm. Great. But then I'm going to ask you a question that everyone asks. As a student, either undergrad or masters, should the students focus more on optimizing their grades, or should they focus on getting more internships under their belt?
No, I think grades are also very important.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you want to get your first job,
Mm-hmm.
then I think and I know that many industries all over the world prefer
Mm-hmm.
that you have that particular CGPA, then you will
Okay.
be
Mm-hmm.
eligible to apply. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so I think that if you want to get a good job, then that
Mm-hmm.
it is a very important thing that your grades should be you can say up to the mark that they could even shortlist you. Otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
they will not going to shortlist you. And then there are many companies who don't
Mm-hmm.
care about your CGPA. They just
Mm-hmm.
know about your. They just want to know that how much you know about the chemical engineering. And if you
Mm-hmm.
are like if you can satisfy them, then they could hire you. So I think
Mm-hmm.
the CGPA is important and unimportant at the same time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. But then that's all the questions that we had about your internship. Then let's move
Mhm.
on and talk about your job experience from the industry. But they say that you never forget your very first job that you get. So what was the first job that you got upon graduation?
Yeah, so the first job I got was as one of a assistant proposal engineer,
Mm-hmm.
and in that I have to design the water and the wastewater treatment plants, and they have two domains, like one department for water treatment plants and the another one for wastewater treatment plants. So I ended up in water treatment plant, and in that water treatment I have to design the water softening
Mm-hmm.
plants, then sometimes ROs, and then sometimes other that is more related to the water treatment. So
Mm-hmm.
as it was my first job, so it's very hard to you can say to
Mm-hmm.
adjust in the start. Like as you when we all started in universities, universities are very easy to you can say to attend. Either if you don't want to come, you can just skip the class, and if you don't
Mm-hmm.
want to go to university, you can just simply do your any other task. But in job, you have
Mm-hmm.
to follow their strict times and their
Mm-hmm.
timelines, and also they have some load from your management, like we have to
Mm-hmm.
complete the following XYZ tasks by today. So
Mm-hmm.
then you have to like also sometimes you have to sit in the office for like many hours just to complete that task, as we have to you can say
Mm-hmm.
present it to our customers.
Mm-hmm.
So that job is, you can say that in start sometimes you it take time to adjust in you can
Mm-hmm.
say in the job type of
Mm-hmm.
thing. Yeah,
Of course. I mean, it is a huge paradigm shift going from being a student to becoming a full-fledged engineer
exactly,
overnight, right? It really is.
exactly,
Uh,
exactly.
but how did you get your very first job? Did you get it through your internship, or was it something that you applied for externally?
No, I saw the advertisement on a newspaper,
Mm-hmm.
and I applied, and then they called me for an interview. Then
Mm-hmm.
they shortlisted me. Then they called me for another interview, and then they just hired me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great, amazing. But then but now you started off in that job, of course, but your titles and your experience has changed a great deal throughout the years. Could you briefly describe the different job titles that you have had as an engineer in the industry?
If I was working in the water treatment plants,
Mm-hmm.
so in as you know that we have also started some water related topics in our engineering
Mm-hmm.
program.
Mm-hmm.
So I was well aware. Then I just as we have studied there multiple things like what is
Mm-hmm.
pH and how to manage the properties. And as we already aware,
Mm-hmm.
if being a chemical engineer, so I just you can say that it helped me a lot. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any, you can say, if I have the, as internships are literally different and jobs are literally different. So
Mm-hmm.
I just, you can say, adapt their skills and their things that how they are working.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't find that it is a little bit of difficult for me to switch my like career or something like that. Yeah,
Okay. Amazing. Because I mean, water treatment is itself process design. So you're working with the same unit operations. So you can really apply the chemical
exactly.
engineering knowledge. But uh, but this job, the one at the water treatment, that's the one that you worked with after your bachelor's or after your master's.
After my bachelor's.
Okay. But then what did you work as after graduating with your master's degree?
So as I opted for my water and wastewater treatment plants, Anna,
Hmm.
so in the start when I got a job there, then after that my line was in that field. So
Okay.
then I was doing my masters, and then I got a one. There was one a
Hmm.
wastewater treatment plant that was be commissioning at that time in one of
Hmm.
a hospital in Pakistan. So again, I saw a job and then I applied. They called me for an interview, and that was of
Hmm.
a project engineer. So I
Hmm.
have a little bit of you can say the knowledge of the water, that how they work, and also their requirement was that they have to hire any engineer that has a work
Hmm.
experience of 1 to 2 years. Like it's a junior
Hmm.
project engineer. So I just uh, I just got a job there, and that job was very interesting as I have
Hmm.
to work on a plant from
Hmm.
A to Z, that we have to commission the plant, and
Hmm.
it took like I think 8 months for to commission the plant. Then after the commissioning, then we have to run the plant. So that was the more, you can say, the most interesting job for me, as in my first job I was just sitting on a desk and doing calculations and
Hmm.
using softwares with respect to water treatment. But in my second job, you can say
Hmm.
it is more helpful for me as I have to deal with many multiple people, like
Hmm.
sometimes with the government officials, and
Hmm.
then the labor, then from every type, you can say
Hmm.
every type of people. So
Hmm.
that was my second job. Yeah,
Amazing. That sounds like a very amazing role to be in, with
yeah,
great deal of exposure, I would imagine. You're talking
exactly,
to so
exactly,
many different people of different backgrounds. It really helps you grow as a person professionally and personally, I assume, right?
exactly, exactly.
Hmm. But then, talking about your second job, which was like a very hard hat type of job, what was your routine at work, like from 8 to 4? How would you describe a typical day for a chemical engineer?
Yeah, so if like as I told you that chemical engineer has two type of job profiles. Either if he's working on a plant, then
Mm-hmm.
he has a different routine, and if he is doing any desk
Mm-hmm.
related job like white collar job, then he had a
Mm-hmm.
different routine. So in my second job, I have to wake up like at 8 or 9 o'clock. Then I just simply go to the plant, and then we worked all day. And then
Mm-hmm.
as it's a project, so we have to meet the deadline. So it's not like 8 to 4 or 8 to 5. Like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we have to stay at plant like till, you can say, till 8 p.m. or 9 p.m.,
Mm-hmm.
as we have some our international engineers from Malaysia which
Mm-hmm.
were working with him. So as they come for some days, like you can say for 2 weeks or for 3 weeks, so we also have to see their timeline, that we don't want that if they go back to their country and then we have the following issue. So and they
Mm-hmm.
always recommend us that if they don't have any problem, that if we work from like 8 a.m. If we start working from 8 a.m. to
Mm-hmm.
12 a.m. in the morning in the night. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that I work for literally like 9 to 10 hours on a plant, as it
Mm-hmm.
was in the commissioning phase. So you know that we have a lot of pressure when we are going to commission a plant,
Mm-hmm.
and we have to follow the strict timeline that is given us by the government. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why, yeah,
Yeah. Amazing. A lot of students, when they graduate, when they go into the industry, some people they pursue a path in the same company for many years. You know, they find one company, they work in that company for 10, 15 years. Some people, they just like you yourself, you started off with one company and then you moved up to a different company, and then of course you moved on to your own consultancy firm. As a fresh graduate, do you feel that it is good to just find your place in one company and continue there, or you should go to different companies and gather up different perspectives and different experiences from different areas?
yeah. I think that it depends on you, that what you what makes you interest.
Mm-hmm.
And this is true that many people say that it's a not good approach to change your companies
Mm-hmm.
after a little, after working
Mm-hmm.
there for a little time, as it could give a bad impression of your
Mm-hmm.
skills, that you are not like you're not consistent in your career. But
Mm-hmm.
if I talk about my case, I got a very interesting opportunity, and it
Mm-hmm.
always, you can say, it will always help me and always interest me if I want
Mm-hmm.
to know that I have to go on a plant, and I have to work on the commissioning stuff. And then as you know that in commissioning we cover all the things. Like in
Mm-hmm.
the design we are just doing everything on papers, but
Mm-hmm.
on if you are talking about the field, then it's very interesting for me. Like you can just
Mm-hmm.
simply sitting on a plant and you are just looking at the equipment, you are just making, and you're just doing everything, whatever
Mm-hmm.
is a perfect job for a chemical engineer. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I switched it, and I think it, uh, after that, it never disappointed me, that, and it was not a bad decision for me to switch a job. So I would recommend that your first job is not, if you are not liking your first job, and if it seems not interesting to you, then it's not a harm if you could
Mm-hmm.
change your job line, or you can the job profile or anything, or any company,
Mm-hmm.
etc. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Yasir. And that concludes all the questions that we had regarding your industrial experience. So let's move on and talk more about your current job that you have, about your
Exactly.
consultancy firm that you're running. Can you briefly just tell us about what it is that you're working as right now?
Yeah. So I was doing a job, and then as a project engineer, our responsibility is to select and to you can say to select the equipments, and then we also do the plant sizing. Then we have to select all the equipments, brands, everything that we are going to utilize in a plant, in a wastewater
Mm-hmm.
treatment plant. So I always want to open my own company and to work on my own with
Mm-hmm.
respect to my engineering, as I have a little bit of experience. So I decided that why not to start working on my own. So as I was thinking from the, like you can say, from when I was doing a job, that I should open my own company, and then to give the consultancy services with respect to the, I was more interested to into environment, as I have a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of experience in the water treatment plants and the wastewater treatment plants. Also, sometimes we got some inquiries with respect to solid waste management. So
Mm-hmm.
I also know about that how this work, and how to, you can say, design a plant and everything like that. So after thinking about like 2 to 3 years, I decided to just to register my company and to start working on my own. And
Mm-hmm.
then I luckily and thank to Allah that I got an opportunity and I just literally opened it. And
Mm-hmm.
then I did marketing on my own. Like I contacted the multiple industries that like we are the following company and we are giving services
Mm-hmm.
with respect to this, and this, and then
Mm-hmm.
uh, some of the engineers from their industries understand that what we are giving the services, and then sometimes they share us the inquiries, and then we just
Mm-hmm.
simply send them a proposal, and
Mm-hmm.
so then we got some of you can say some of the projects with respect to my own company. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Okay, amazing. So you basically are your own boss right now,
yeah, exactly.
right? Mhm. Yeah, but that is very impressive that you decided to pursue your own path instead of continuing into the
Mhm.
industry. Especially, you are very young in the industry. You graduated what 3 years ago with your master's, and but of course you had a great deal of experience for internships and then
Yeah,
getting
yeah,
you had your industrial jobs. But still,
yeah,
it is still quite impressive that you have chosen and you have been quite successful at it now so far. You have had major clients that you're working with. You have quite a
yeah.
great deal of things to put on your resume, especially the projects that you've been working on.
Mhm.
Could you briefly tell us about some of the few projects that you got a chance to work with?
Yeah, so as my major area was with respect to environment, so I got one I got a one project that was related to water treatment plant. Like
Mhm.
we have to design and then we have to you can say purchase the things from all
Mhm.
over the world. As the capacity was not that much big, it was you can say a very you can say small scale plant. But I was
Mhm.
more interested to go with and start to go with the small scale plants instead of big
Mhm.
mega project. As also it's my learning phase, and also I just don't want to mess with the with our client. So that's
Mhm.
why. And then we also got some of the project with respect to the valve selection. Like there is
Mhm.
one industry in Pakistan that they have some issues in their valves. So they,
Mhm.
as I was talking to them and I was just telling about my country, about my company.
Mhm.
So they then asked me to that we have the following issue. If you could help me with this, that we would be very helpful. So it would be very helpful for us. So then I worked on that issue, and then I gave them a new solution with respect to the valves. So
Mhm.
then they and now luckily they are using it, and it's not causing any problem to them. Then
Mhm.
sometimes we have also we are supplying multiple items to the industry,
Mhm.
sometimes with respect to their requirement and sometimes with respect to our selection, and sometimes we just recommend them that if you are using this and if you will use this, then you could have a price difference and you could have a better performance. And then
Mhm.
sometimes they even call me for an discussion that explain us that how you are saying this, that it could be
Mhm.
more helpful for us if we use your product instead of this product, like
Mhm.
any valve or any pressure
Mhm.
transmitter or any XYZ thing. Yeah.
Mhm. Amazing. It sounds like a great deal of responsibility that you're handling right now. Now you don't just have these tasks, but now you also have your reputation on the line. You are responsible
Exactly,
for basically everything, right? One mistake and your company names goes up and down. So it,
exactly,
so,
exactly.
so it is a great deal of responsibility that you're dealing with. But if I was to ask you, Ed, now since you are, of course, the director of the company and you are handling all the marketing and the client handling and all the solution making, uh, how does your typical workday look like as of right now?
Yeah, so if I talk about my company, then I just simply go to my office, as we have one office in Lahore, and I
Mhm.
just simply go to office. Then the first routine is to check the emails. Like as you
Mhm.
know that all the communications are through emails. Then I just simply
Mhm.
reply the emails with whatever the email is. And then the second is to make the follow up. Sometimes we have shared the proposal, sometimes the quotations to in the last week, and we
Mhm.
I then we do the follow-ups like to check either they are working or either we have got
Mhm.
that project or we have lost it. And then
Mhm.
after you can say the lunch break we go for the marketing. Like we just
Mhm.
simply call the people and then we just introduce our company. And
Mhm.
sometimes this is what in you can say after that work on our projects, the
Mm-hmm.
proposals and the quotation making. So if
Mm-hmm.
we have to if we have to submit the quotation or the proposal to our client, then we just start working on it and then submit it. And also some days we have to meet with our different clients. On some days we have to go to different sites visits for, you can say, for the information or for the calculation. So this is all
Mm-hmm.
about, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Great. So if you were to compare your work-life balance that you have right now compared to the work-life
Hmm.
balance that you had before while you were working for someone else, uh,
Hmm.
I would imagine that you have a lot more working hours now and less social time compared to before, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's yes, everyone say this, and I think that it is very, you can say,
Mm-hmm.
that when I was working on a job, I don't have that much of responsibility either. I
Mm-hmm.
do have, but I was just looking at my responsibility. Whatever my
Mm-hmm.
tasks are, I have to perform it all. But if I talk about my current job, then
Mm-hmm.
it's not a job. Basically, it's a full-time job. Like I have to, you can
Mm-hmm.
say, see all the things, like from the
Mm-hmm.
technical to the marketing. Although uh, I'm not working directly on something that some other people are working, but then I have to
Mm-hmm.
inform them that I want this and our main
Mm-hmm.
aim is to get this. And yes, it's a very responsibility. And also, I think that sometimes even if you are sleeping, your mind just thinking about that particular thing, that you have to do that thing tomorrow, or you have to call
Mm-hmm.
him for the following thing. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's a little bit of more stressful as
Mm-hmm.
compared to doing a job. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I can of course fully imagine that it is a full-time job. I once saw this
exactly.
joke on Facebook of that I did not want to work from 9 to 5. So I started my business. Now I work 24/7.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
uh,
And
but
also,
you know,
and I want to add something, and I think also in start, like in start, you have to work for like 24/7.
mhm, exactly, of course, because
Yeah,
when you're trying to launch something, especially in the very beginning,
yeah,
those are the
yeah,
days
exactly.
and the hours that are very very critical. What tips
Hmm.
would you tell people or to other incoming graduates who really share that same passion for entrepreneurship? What should they do? What should they focus on? Or what are the key skills they should be learning already when they are graduating?
Yeah, so I think that the first thing is that first just mark your the major area, like what you want to do. Either you want to open up, as you know that it's a very big investment if we want to open up, if we want
Mm-hmm.
to do any manufacturing or the production. And I think that many young graduates cannot go for it. So the
Mm-hmm.
easiest and which you have a lowest investment is the consultancy, and it's also related to our field.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a little bit knowledge of chemical engineering, and if you think that you have the possibility that you could discuss with all over the world. Like I work with some of my international clients. Not I'm not working with them, but you can say that they are our principal. That if we get in any trouble or any difficulty, they just simply I just send them an email, and then they totally help us. That if
Mm-hmm.
you are using this, then you try this or try this, and then sometimes they are more interested. They even ask us to that we can send our team to Pakistan if you are in
Mm-hmm.
trouble. So I think that first thing is that you should know your area, that
Mm-hmm.
what's the major area which you are going to work. That either if it's a consultancy or if it's a, you can say, the supply of any engineering equipment or any production plant, let's suppose on a
Mm-hmm.
small scale. Then the second thing is that then you should have a good knowledge what you are offering. Like if you are working on the product, then you should know, and you have the ability to convince other people
Mm-hmm.
with respect to your product. Like if you cannot convince them, then and I think then they are not going to buy
Mm-hmm.
anything from you. But you should have a good convincing power. Then the third thing is that the your product should be a little bit, you can say, differentiating with the other products that are already in the market. So
Mm-hmm.
if you have the following thing, then I think that you could easily make your place in the
Mm-hmm.
country. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Okay, amazing. This is just the beginning for you, I guess. And you have just started off with your company. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years, the next 10 years? What is the future of your firm as you see it?
No, as I've started like it's been more than a year now,
Mm-hmm.
and I got a very good response in the
Mm-hmm.
start. Like as I don't have that much project, but still
Mm-hmm.
I'm successful in getting some. So
Mm-hmm.
I am hoping that I will be, you can say, it will be a big firm, or and I have a lot of my big team in the past,
Mm-hmm.
in the I think in the next 5 or 10 years, and I
Mm-hmm.
would have you can say a big footprint in all over industries in Pakistan, as I literally try to talk with in everyone who is working in industry, and I just simply share the profile of my company, and I
Mm-hmm.
introduce my company. So there
Mm-hmm.
are there are many people
Mm-hmm.
who find it interesting that I'm working at this age,
Mm-hmm.
and then sometimes they give me a chance to
Mm-hmm.
participate in their whatever their task is. Yeah.
Amazing. But thank you so very much, Yasir, for sharing all these insights about your own consultancy and about your experience in working on your own. But now, but now we'll move on to the next segment, and this is a segment that we call the time machine segment. Now,
Hmm.
imagine that you're walking down the street and you find a time machine that allows you to go back to any time in the past. Uh,
Hmm.
what advice would you give yourself to your past self that you know now that you feel that you should have known back then?
Yeah, I think that there are multiple fields
Hmm.
with respect to chemical engineering. Like when I was studying, like everyone is more interested to find a job in oil and gas, and I
Hmm.
think that even your class fellows insist you that there is only one field, and that is oil and gas, oil.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I think that it's a bad approach, and the students should not think about that thing. Like when I was student, I was also interested, and my only aim was to get into oil and gas, just
Hmm.
like with some of my other class fellows. But now, after working in a field, I think and I advise that there are multiple, we can say, the
Hmm.
fields in which a chemical engineer can work. So you should be, you can say, you should open all your opportunities, and you should not focus only on one industry, but you should be uh, interested to work in any industry.
Hmm.
Like either as I told you that if you are a chemical engineer, you can work in a fertilizer, in
Hmm.
oil and gas, in a consultancy firm, in wastewater or water treatment plants, in paint industry, in even
Hmm.
in the manufacturing industry, in the pharmaceutical industry. So we have a lot of multiple domains.
Hmm.
So if I was back in my time machine, so if I go back in my time, so I think that I would be more interested to apply multiple jobs as compared to restricted
Hmm.
to only one job. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, that is very rightly said, and sadly, that is the reality that we live in. A lot of people, they are, especially chemical engineers, they are very fixed on going into oil and gas sector upon graduating. And
Yeah.
but I guess that's a very like many people have created a mindset that you make a lot more money in oil and gas compared to the other sectors,
Hmm.
especially one of the biggest
Exactly.
companies in the world. They are in the oil. But you're very right because there are so many industries out there that you can go and work in. Especially if you're a chemical
Yeah.
engineer, why limit yourself to one industry? Keep the path open.
Yeah.
Explore. Go out there and explore everything that you can. Like you yourself, for
Exactly.
example, you're working in the environmental sector, and yeah, and I bet you're much more successful than many people who are working on oil and gas. So at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it's not your industry that matters, but it's the man that matters that is working, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Perfect. Thank you. Then we'll conclude. Then we'll conclude this entire podcast with one final question, with one golden question, and that is that uh, what is one skill that you suggest the graduates should focus and learn?
Yeah. So I think that hard skills and soft skills both are important,
Hmm.
especially if you are a recent graduate. As after
Hmm.
I think after working for like 5 to 10 years, then they literally don't care about the other skills, but they're more interested about your practical experience. But I
Hmm.
think that if you want to be successful in start, and you want to get a good job, then if we talk about the hard skills, then you should know about your subjects, the
Mm-hmm.
courses which you have studied. If we talk about chemical engineering, then there are like 4 to 5 core subjects which every chemical engineer know,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure that if you are giving a technical interview, then I'm sure that if chemical engineer is taking your interview, he will ask that questions to you.
Mm-hmm.
So you should know about that questions if you want to be, you can say, technically more, sounds
Mm-hmm.
more powerful. And the soft skills are also very important. Like you should be a little bit presentable.
Mm-hmm.
You should be more, you can say, you should have a good communication skills,
Mm-hmm.
as in industry. But in Pakistan, like if I talk about Pakistan, that we have to deal with different profile people. Like we have to
Mm-hmm.
deal with our senior management, then we have to deal with our managers, then we have to deal with our labor too. And you know
Mm-hmm.
that labor have a different style of dealing than
Mm-hmm.
the senior management and different style. So if you are good in communicating things, and if you have a good skill of that, then I think that it would be more helpful for you to
Mm-hmm.
make progress in your field. And also and I think these are the two major skills which you should be good in uh,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
to get successful in your job. Yeah.
Yes. Perfect. Thank you so very much, and very rightly explained and rightly said. Thank you so very much, Yasser. This actually
Welcome.
concludes all the questions that we had for you for this podcast. And it goes without saying, thank you so very much for your time and for being with us here today, and also for giving such insightful answers to all the questions. Thank you so very much.
Thank you for listening. And if you have not done so already, remember to become a free member at Chemical Engineering Life. And do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and stay tuned for more upcoming podcasts with chemical engineers. Thank you and have a great day.